Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode on Monday Positivity. And today I wanted to talk about remothering and remothering yourself. And it's very important if you are, doing some inner child work. And I recently finished a book, Healing Your Inner Child Wounds. And I talk a lot about shadow work and inner child healing on this channel. So if you're someone who is interested in knowing what this is, like how inner child wounding, uh, from where it stems. Um, Inner child wounding, it's like, when we become adults, as a child, see, as a child, you have no authority in a way, right? Because you are dependent on your caregivers. And sometimes, and again, I'm not don't take it the wrong way. But sometimes, like as a child, or even like maybe in your teenage years, or even as an adult, sometimes we go through things and they leave lasting impact on us. And they help in, I wouldn't say they help, but they somehow shape our psyche also, the way we talk to others, the way we, uh, you know, form connections, the way our personality shapes. It has a lot to do with your met or unmet childhood needs. And when I talk about refathering or remothering yourself or reparenting yourself, it's about, reparenting that inner child who is still there somewhere in your psyche. And as an adult, it's your responsibility because you are no more a child, right? And you need to understand that you are an adult now. You are a responsible adult now, and you have control over your life choices. You can decide for yourself. And in the process, when you start taking on that role of the responsible adult, you start healing your inner child also. Um, it's like that, subconscious thing. It's that, like your subconscious beliefs also, they were formed uh, like at an early age, I would say. And sometimes they need changes. You need to, change those beliefs so that you can progress in life. But it's not easy to do so because your inner child, feels safe there with those beliefs. And I'm not saying your inner child feels safe, so those beliefs are the best ones. They may not be the best ones, but it's your inner child's comfort zone, right? When I say inner child, I'm not talking about a real child. I'm talking about, your old beliefs, right? And it's also all about, being compassionate with that, with, with yourself, with your inner child. Because just think of it like your, so if let's now you are an adult person, how would you talk to your, like child self? How would you talk to your younger self? Like think of it in that sense. And that will give you a lot more perspective because if let's say a child is not feeling loved, you're not going to tell them, oh, yes, you're not loved, right? You will assure the child that, yes, you are loved. And sometimes, in our childhood, in our maybe young years, I mean, like the teenage years, we go through a lot of challenges, could be, job rejection or, problems in relationships and all of that. And those things leave a scar, I would say. And, the belief remains with us for a long time. So if let's say maybe someone rejected you, maybe in your job or in your relationship or as a child, maybe you did not do something and you felt rejected by your parents, that belief, it stays with you. You start feeling like, okay, people pleasing behavior comes from that because if you didn't do this, if you couldn't please others, they will leave you, they will reject you, right? So that belief stays with you. And if you want real personal growth, and that's what, like, I talked about money wounds also. uh it encompasses all of this, right? It includes all of this. And as a young adult, not a young adult, I mean, as a responsible adult, it's your responsibility. And once you're aware of this concept, inner child healing, then it is definitely your responsibility, because now you have the tools, right? You have the techniques to change those beliefs, and you know where those beliefs are coming from. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And reparenting is very important, like in the process. And I'll talk about remothering yourself first, and then I'll talk about refathering. And I'll tell you how I do it and how you can also do it. Because when I started doing it, remothering, refathering, reparenting my inner child, I saw profound changes in my life in terms of, health, in terms of, career, financially, and, uh, relationship wise. Because it's very easy to say that, something else needs to change, but sometimes we also need to, work on ourselves. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. And let me now share the process of remothering myself. Um, Remothering, and again, when we talk about, reparenting, it's about the concept of mother and father, their traits, right? So when we talk about, mothering, remothering, it's about, filling in, and both parents, like mother and father, they have different roles in, a child's life. One provides emotional support, and one provides, the like the security around, a lot of things, right? So I'll talk about that. Let's first talk about, remothering yourself. So remothering is all about, if filling in the gaps of support and nurturing and support, that, you may have missed growing up. It's about learning to be the caregiver to yourself that you needed but didn't always have for whatever reasons. Could be like both your parents were working, so they couldn't provide you the support you needed, emotional support or any other support. It could also be because maybe they didn't know how to do it. It could also be maybe you studied somewhere else, right? So you were always away from your parents. It could be, just see how it fits in your situation. And for me, the this whole process, inner child healing, and then remothering and refathering, it all began with my realization that I was often my own worst critique. That inner voice filled with, doubt and self-judgment and self-criticism, it held me back from truly embracing who I am. So I was always not good, not perfect. I also had this obsession with perfectionism. And the first step I took when I started this journey, the first step I took was learning to validate my emotions and my experiences. So all the rejections, all the failures, whatever you go through, you have to validate your experiences. It was not your fault. Um, you were trying to do the best you could, right? And your emotions, validating your emotions also. So if you don't like something, you have to validate your emotion, because you are a human being. You are not a machine. Like, you have the right to say no, right? You have the right to choose. So learning to validate my emotions was, like the first step. And I realized that it's okay to feel whatever I'm feeling, whether it's joy, sadness, anger or uncertainty. Specifically for women, I've seen, like, we are told, females, we are told that we should not be angry. Like, I don't understand. It's an emotion, right? It's not like you can switch it on and switch it off. if you feel anger towards something, it is telling you something, right, about yourself, about maybe mostly if you're angry, ask yourself, because it is always because, uh, you know, maybe your certain needs are not met, or maybe your certain standards are not met, right? And we all have our own, standards in terms of relationships and, what we will accept or will not accept in our lives. And each emotion, I'll tell you, has its place. And it's very important to acknowledge them because it will help you understand yourself better. I always felt like I don't have to feel certain emotions because it's not right. Part of the reason, because yes, I'm, being a female, I should not be feeling this way or that way. But it is important to, uh, acknowledge all the emotions because they all have a message for you. And as I started acknowledging them, I started to understand myself better. I started to understand, what my needs are, what my standards are, what I want from connections in my life, what I want from my life, what I want from myself. Right? It's not always about being angry with others. Sometimes it's about being angry with yourself. Maybe you're not keeping your promises to yourself. I lead a very disciplined life, and maybe for someone else it will not work. But it that's how, like, I like doing it that way, right? Like being disciplined to wake up early in the morning, tending to my self-care needs. And I don't function well when I don't do it, right? So that was the first step I took, uh, learning to validate my emotions. Next, I began practicing self-compassion because it's very, I think, important again to, treat yourself with some kindness, and with the same kindness and understanding, you would offer to a friend in need. And I have always been very good at that, giving others advice, showing them kindness, telling them not to, beat themselves up. Um, and it was important to give that to myself. And it was important to learn to give that to myself. And this also meant, giving myself permission to make mistakes, to not be perfect, to learn and grow from, mistakes, rather than, berating myself for not being perfect. So self-compassion played a role in that. And then another concept I think very crucial was setting boundaries. It was, I would say, like one of the most difficult parts and one of the most crucial parts of my journey. Um, I used to struggle with, saying no. I was not good at that, and it made me suffer a lot in life. So I learned to say no to, things, to situations that didn't align with my values, or even, situations that drained my energy. And when I say situations, I also mean people, I also mean events, I also mean, jobs that, don't align with my values, or, that drain my energy. And it was empowering, I would say, to prioritize my own well being and my own needs. And because I was doing it the first time, it was scary at first, but I realized like it's so important, and people, underestimate the importance of boundaries, but I think it is very important. And through this process, like these three things played uh, an important role. First, learning to validate my emotions, self-compassion, and then boundaries. And through this process, I've actually come to understand that remothering isn't about blaming anyone. It's not about saying that they didn't provide me the, support I needed, compassion I needed, because, motherhood is all about compassion and kindness, and also about boundaries. So you have to set boundaries. Again, think of it like, what would you do if you feel like, your child is not comfortable in a situation? You would set boundaries, right? And your child also feels supported. So that's the whole idea of remothering yourself. Taking response, and again, like I said, it's not about blaming others, blaming someone out there, blaming your parents, or blaming your colleagues or anybody. It's about taking responsibility for your own healing and growth, right? You have to, at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself first, then with someone else. Or, I mean, like, the whole interactions maybe throughout the day. Yes, sometimes people make you the bad guy when you start putting yourself first, when you start taking care of your needs first. But again, you have to understand, let it be there, at the end of the day, you have you, and people may or may not understand your journey, but you have to live with yourself, right? So it's all about, reclaiming your own power and learning to nurture yourself in ways, that support your happiness and your well-being. And I shared this with you today, not as an expert. I don't I don't like to call myself an expert. I shared it with you not as an expert, but as um, someone on a journey, a journey to self-discovery, self-acceptance, and self-love. And if you're also on this path, uh, just know that you're not alone. We all deserve the love and care we give to others. We just need to learn how to do it, right? And sometimes it is scary at first because, we have been taught that maybe because people call it, we are being selfish and all of that. But I'm telling you, it's worth it. So thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. And if you found these insights helpful, or if you have your own experiences with, remothering to share, please leave a comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you're new here, and hit the notification bell also for more content like this. And until next time, take care of yourselves.